Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Trader Summit, and with me today I have Mr. Dick Matthews from Pardus FX. Dick, how are you? Happy, midweek, early week, and a busy week.
Yeah, early week. Very dark outside now. The clocks have changed over here. They haven't changed in America yet, have they?
Not yet. We got that this weekend, and then all will be well. So. Listen, you know what's not well is the market and what it's thinking it wants to do ahead of all these key events this week. Not only do we have the Fed, we have the Bank of England, we have the non-farm payroll. I mean, and it's been already a central bank extravaganza bonanza right now. So what are your thoughts here? Let's start with the Fed. Do you have any opinions on what the Fed is going to do? Because obviously the market seems a little too excited that the Fed might have some sort of, you could call it a pivot. You could call it maybe just a change in tone slightly. Yeah. What do you think here?
I think the market's overexcited. I think they're praying for a pivot, especially the stock markets are praying for a pivot. I don't think they will. I think they'll do 75. And they may just talk that they're going to start lowering the increments that they're doing rates in, or hint that they're going to start lowering the increments that they'll do in December, maybe by 50 basis points. But I think that they will then keep them for longer. So instead of going up by 75, then maybe go up by 50, and just flatten out a little bit. There must be fears of hitting the market too hard. And I still think this about the UK being the canary in the coal mine. It's a good old English expression. With the gilt market, when the market overreacted, gilt sold off really, really quickly, and there was a panic that people couldn't meet margin calls in the pension funds. Now, I think that that's probably happened all over the world. I think I touched on this last week. I think it certainly happened in Europe and certainly happened in the States as pension funds sought after yields. You know, how are you going to run a pension fund book when yields are virtually zero? So I think there's been a bit of leveraging up there, and I think that the central banks may just be a little bit worried about breaking the system and may just start backing off. So Jay Powell, I think, might just hint at that, but I still feel the market's got ahead of itself, and you know, we will see. I still quite like the dollar, I've got to say. I think the JOLTS figures out today were pretty good. I think the Fed will like those. I think non-farm probably looking pretty strong against like 225, something like that. I think they're calling.
Yeah. Yep.
So all looks pretty good, doesn't it? They don't seem to be stamping on the market too hard. Housing's not that good, but everything else seems pretty okay at the moment. I don't know. How you feel over there?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we still obviously we're going to be looking for. We'll see if there's any signs of weakness in the employment report, and but you know, 200,000 seems pretty. You know, I can't imagine us deviating too much from that. But I think a lot of market participants would love to see a weaker number. Would love to see us come in closer to a flat line or a zero. And I don't know if that's really going to be the case, not in the current environment anyway. But well, you know, we do have the FOMC this week. Obviously, that's going to be the big market mover. But right after that, we have the Bank of England. So what are you thinking with the sterling here?
I think it's getting towards the top of its trading range. It's been up to 116, isn't it? I'll touch around about 116. I think it's in a trading range really wide, 110, 116. I think the Bank of England might disappoint the markets and only come in. I think the markets are looking for 75 basis points over here as well. I think the old lady might come in, only do 50 basis points. And it's got a get out of jail card and say, oh, the government's delayed its fiscal statement till, you know, a week or so's time. We're going to wait and we're going to hold fire till we see what they're doing. I think that's what they might do, in which case you'll see sterling head pretty quickly towards the bottom of its trading range. 110, I've got 110.20 I've written down. I don't know particular reason there. But down towards the bottom, down towards those sort of levels.
Yeah.
If it breaks that, you're back down 106, 103. I don't think there's enough oomph in the market to do that.
So however, let me ask you this. I mean, with the Fed coming in on Wednesday and then the Bank of England afterwards, would you be a seller at current levels, playing dollar strength into into the Bank of England and looking to basically be short here in the next 24 hours?
On the basis that the market, I think, is probably going to the Fed pretty flat, isn't it? I think it's squared up.
I think today, yeah, it caused that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Simply,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, there you go. There's your answer. So
Yeah.
what are you thinking? What are you thinking with the jobs report? I mean, I know we touched on it, but
Yeah.
what is there any like specific component you might be looking at regarding jobs?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously, watch the wage growth there. I think the job openings was quite significant today, which actually, there's still plenty of jobs out there in the States for people to come and get. And until that sort of narrows down, and it's actually risen, the proportion of job openings to people looking for jobs, until that narrows down, I think the Fed's going to carry on really till it squeaks. How important are the midterms? Do you think there's any political influence on the Fed?
Well, as far as on the Fed goes, I'd like to believe no, but and with the current administration, I don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. I think the Fed's going to try to stay as agnostic as they possibly can. But then again, you see what's happening in Brazil and some of the rioting that's happening over there because of what happened over the weekend. It's going to be interesting to see. You have any thoughts on what you expect on the midterms?
Not really. I'm just I think politically it's two things I think are pretty interesting actually. The political scene, I think Iran's getting pretty arsey, for want of a better word, with Iraq at the moment. I think that could blow up a little bit, which again you get the flight to safety, price into the dollar. And I think in the UK that there is an understated risk of an early election in the UK. I was out with a very good friend at lunch today who I know watches this, so evening, John, and we were discussing it. He thinks there's going to be an election in the UK before Easter next year. I actually think it could be January, February. I think Sunak's trying so hard to keep everything together. I'm not convinced he can. The other interesting thing I saw this week, I saw sterling react to the weather, which I hadn't seen for many a year. The weather forecast came out in the UK for colder than expected weather, and sterling started selling off on the back of that. I guess that's because the government's committed to filling the gap on people's energy bills, which means they'd have to borrow more money, so they'd have to issue more gilts, blah, 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 blah. But it's interesting that sterling's starting to watch that, and you may well see the euro starting to watch it. We've had a horrid weather. I mean, it's pouring with rain. We've had a pretty mild start to the winter, but that's no guarantee that will continue. So watching out for the weather, which is an unusual thing to do, but I think that's another risk that's not in there.
All right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and that's something not only myself but other traders will be watching. Speaking of which, Dick, I love having these conversations with you. How do I find out more about what you do at Pardus FX?
You come to our website, which is www.pardusfx.com. Gives a rundown of what we do, and my contact details are on there. And I talk to a few clients, a couple of high net worth individuals, a family office, and some institutions about managing their FX risks and helping them execute their trades, which actually is really fulfilling and an interesting thing to do.
All right. Well, thank you, Dick. I appreciate your contribution here at Trader Summit. Make sure you guys and gals also subscribe to the channel. Give Dick a big thumbs up and say thank you for watching and for him being here with us every week. Also, he does post on the tradersummit.net site, so we get some of his analysis written as well. Mr. Matthews, good to see you as always. I'll see you next week.
Have a good week. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey traders, Blake Morrow here. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the bell notifications so you do not miss any of our market-related trading analysis from some of the leading industry experts. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.